Can you hear me? There you go. Welcome everybody to our April meeting for the Veterans Club. Let's stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will Chaplain Dave give us the invocation?
Let us pray. Author of life and liberty, we pray today for your human family, torn by war and strife. We pray that you watch over and protect the members of our armed forces and give wisdom to their leaders, that you comfort the families of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, and grant that peace and justice may one day again prevail among nations and peoples. Today, O Lord, we place our trust and our hope in you. Amen. Amen.
Before we begin, we have an announcement by Shirley Marshall.
Well, welcome to our Veterans Monthly Gathering, and I'm graciously given this opportunity to put a plug in, shamelessly put a plug in for myself. I would love to see you at my Tell Your Story, which I'll be presenting on the 27th of this month, right here, 1 o'clock, and there will be a segment about my Army experience, 9 years. So I hope to see you then. Thank you.
One other announcement is putting up the flags in May. The flags will go up on May 22nd and come down on May 26th. And there'll be an email out asking volunteers for that and what to do. So with that, I'll introduce our main speaker today, Lee Klein from Prairie View. He comes from Belleville, Illinois originally, 5 years in the Navy. And at Prairie View here for 20 months now. So it all is beautiful.
Wow, that's great.
That's good. All yours now.
Well, I'll tell you, Pat, you're going to be sorry. I haven't said anything yet. You're going to be sorry you ever gave me a microphone. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. Okay. For a couple of things, if you get a chance, some of the memorabilia that I've saved over the years, who knows what you bring here. But here, I want to start out by saying, last month I had a very significant event. I have been married for 61 years to my wonderful wife, who's sitting right there. And another group that I would like to give a plug to is wives, spouses, and significant others that stay behind when we're doing silly things in the air, in the land, and the sea. I would like to give a plug to them. They stay home and make a home for us to come home to. Amen. And I'm telling you right now, I expect some serious, copious cookies for that. All right, let's get going here. Okay, I was in the Navy 62 through 66. If you came here to see the Mediterranean, that's not where we're going with that. I was over in the Mediterranean. I did a lot of stuff. I went to a place up in the mountains in Spain, a seminary, not a seminary, monastery up in Spain. So I took that tour, took a couple of tours around, and enjoyed it, but that's not what this is about. This is about living on an aircraft carrier for 8 months with 5,000 other, at the time, men. That's changed now, but back then it was all men. So, let's move on here. Okay, there's one sailor that you got to, that whenever you get in the military, that's what you're at the is, right? When you get in the military, you strive to be part of it, to be a person like the #1 sailor. I am what I am. Keep your spades, kids. Well, all right, all right, all right. 1961. I'm 18 years old. It's appeared in the newspaper saying that I enlisted in the Navy. I was 18 when this picture was taken. I went to a year of junior college. School wasn't for me. So the Navy recruiter told me that he could get me electronic school. Well, he lied. Big surprise, right? He lied to me. He didn't have anything to do with that. But anyway, off I go to San Diego, California. I live here, about 30 miles east of St. Louis. San Diego, California. I'm not stupid. I lived in Illinois. I know the Great Lakes is cold. I went in September, so I went out here to California. Thought that I would go to some of those beach parties that I see in the movies. Maybe meet Annette from the cello. That never happened. Okay, so from there, I went to Beeville, Texas, because my school wasn't ready for me yet. Went up here to the Memphis, Tennessee, to school, Navy school, down to Sanford, Florida, up to Jacksonville, Mayport, Florida, where I got the ship. Okay, off to the Med. Okay, so that's where we're going with this. I'm nervous as hell. Boot camp, okay, boot camp. I'm not going to bore you with all the details and everything, but there's a couple of things I want to remind you guys of, and ladies, about boot camp, just to get you in the mood here, okay? Okay. Welcome. You pass under that sign, your life is never going to be the same. Okay, we all know what the UCMJ is, okay? Uniform Code of Military Justice. What that pretty much says is you have no rights whatsoever. None. The military is going to do whatever they want to with you. Okay. Okay. Everything you own, literally, my civilian clothes, and I had a gym bag, they called it that back then, with some stuff in it, gone. I mean, literally you strip down naked to stencil all your clothing, put it all back on again, and all that stuff is sent back home, okay? All right, see bag, we all have one of those. Okay, the next shot is, this is a myth. And when you tell people that this exists, they say, well, that never happened, you're making that up. Well, it did happen. Yes, I went through that. It's not as bad as it looks if you don't flinch. And then you step forward and get 2 more shots. I only got 4 shots that day. Some guys got a little sick, I had a little fever and everything. Some people had a different reaction. But I did okay, it was no big deal. Our uniform, we're still using the 13 buttons and the midi. You can see this one I've got here, I saved. That belonged to a very small guy. I never get into that. Anyway, that's it. They tried to get us, there's a lot of places that don't like the fact that we don't wear a tie and have a coat. They tried to get us into what they call the chief's uniform, which was a coat and a tie and a shirt, like all the other services wear, but here's the thing, they found out they couldn't put all those uniforms on a ship. We don't have enough room. We don't have enough room for all that stuff. Okay, so then, boot camp. What the hell? How many times did I say that? All right, now, when I got down to, that's all that stuff. I got rid of all that. We got down to, I finally got in the Navy. And what was it here? I spent, hang on a second, I spent 3 months in boot camp. I spent 12 weeks or 3 months in Texas, and I spent 7 months in Memphis. I have been in the Navy for a year and 4 months, and I haven't seen a boat or water yet. Okay? It's like, what? So I get down to down to my base in Florida, and I'm working on airplanes. Okay, now let me stop here a minute and talk about bases, okay? I always call them bases, Navy bases or stations, they call that, Naval Air Station, but bases. I went to Leavenworth and they pointed out to me, this is not a base, this is a fort, okay? Get that straight. So let me get it straight. I call it a base, Army calls it a fort, and near as I can tell, the Air Force calls it a country club. Okay, martinis at 3, 2 hours, please. Okay, so I'm down there, here's my airplane. Right here, okay. Artist render, this is an artist conception, I've got some pictures of it later. But this is my squadron, right here. You got a patch that I have right there. That's our patch. And we're a checker tails. We got this checker blanket, checker tails. We call it checker tails. Okay? Whew. Let me take a deep breath here. This airplane weighs, it's 74 feet long. Okay, I want to give you a general idea how big this thing is. Because this is, at the time, this is the biggest carrier-based plane in the Navy. Okay, let me back up. You may be asking, I thought he was in the Navy. Why is he talking about him? The second biggest air force in the world is the United States Navy. Okay? We have more airplanes, and it's largely because of aircraft carriers. Let me get this straight here. I got this glasses. United States Navy. Okay. The A3D weighs 36,000 pounds. Let's go with that first. 36,000 pounds. I figured it out. A Camry, a Toyota Camry weighs 3,600 pounds. 10 Camrys would be that big. That's how big that is. And also, the length of it is 4.5 Ford 150 pickup trucks. That's how long this thing is. And I'm going to tell you, now I was hesitant to tell you this, our number one mission, first off, we're a bomber. That's my rate is an AQB. Aviation Fire Control Technician B is a bomber. This is a bomber. Our number one mission, I'd like to mention this, was we could carry nuclear weapons. That was our main mission for being on that ship. Okay, we did a lot of other stuff, but because they can reconfigure that plane in an hour to do other things. But in case we had to do it, we were ready. And don't think for a minute that those people that are over there in the Gulf of Oman don't have nuclear weapons, because they do. Okay, I was a little worried about telling you about that, but last month, Fry, help me out. Terry? Who's the Jay Terry. He told us about the Minuteman missiles all the way from Montana to the top of Missouri. There's over 1,000, there were 1,000 Minuteman missiles with nuclear warheads. So I figure if I tell you that, you're not worried about me carrying one. Okay? Not that worried about that. Okay, Heavy 11. Heavy 11. My squadron was called Heavy 11, or Heavy Attack Squadron 11. Another picture of, well, that's not my plane, but it's a plane like it. Now that is my plane. This is probably on the carrier deck of the, Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt. And here's the bombardier. This is the guy that I'm interested in. If he's having problems, he's going to make it my problem somehow. He's the bombardier. It's a 3-person plane. We got a pilot, bombardier, and back here is an ECM, electronic countermeasures guy, and that's our only weapon. We have no other weapons except bombs. It's very hard to defend yourself against a jet fighter with a bomb. They don't hold still long enough. So that's all we've got is bombs. Okay, but we can confuse them with ECM, electronic countermeasures. We can send out a pulse of radiation to confuse their radio. and it'll confuse it to where they don't know where they are. If they do launch, if we get painted, in other words, the radar scans us and locks onto us, we know right away. And we know what's coming. We can tell by the frequencies, okay? We know we're smart enough for that. Even back in the 60s. Nowadays, they can practically tell what color it is. So they launch to us. We try to confuse them with the radar. If that doesn't work, we can throw out chaff. Okay, there's these little pieces of aluminum foil cut to a certain frequency, if that means anything to you guys. Cut to a certain frequency that confuses radar. I mean, a blanket of chaff. If we think that this is a heat seeker, one that's trying to find our engines, which, well, it's not on here, the engines, which put out a lot of heat, we throw out flares. This is like a railroad flare that's probably 20 times hotter. Many, copious amounts, okay, to confuse that. Okay, that's our only defense. We have very little defensive weapons and no offensive, well, the bombs, of course. Okay, more planes, more planes. Yeah. Great plane. I had a lot of stuff. We had equipment back here. We had a radar I had to work on up here. The computer was in here. This computer was this big, that wide, that tall, weighed 300 pounds. That computer was what I call analog. Okay. Today, your computer on your phone and stuff is digital. It's all digital. Little electronic circuits running around in there. Ours is analog. It's like an abacus. Okay, it's about that rudimentary. Honestly, it's about that rudimentary. The configuration of the Earth is a circle about 18 inches with 360-degree teeth on it. They set in the latitude and longitude where they wanted to drop the bomb. They set in the altitude or the latitude and longitude where they are, where they're at. And whenever that gets around to there, the bomb doors open up and bombs fall out. We hope we're in the right place. Okay. More there. Okay. And here's one thing that means a lot to me. Whenever I was out there over in Europe, and I was in Europe, there wasn't much going on. Really, it was quiet. It was kind of quiet. There wasn't much going on. We're there, and more or less as a presence. And I see that flag out on our fantail. It's like I'm home. Okay, that's sovereign United States soil. Okay. People were friendly back in those days. We didn't have a big problem. Okay, this is going to be good. My ship. Well, that's not my ship. That's not my ship. Hey, that's my ship. Okay. This thing is 960 feet long. 4 footballs, almost 4.5 football fields long. Okay. And we got airplanes stacked all over the place. We got a bunch. This one can take 120 aircraft. Some of them are smaller than others, some small. And ours, I don't see ours there. Those are F4s, F8s. I don't see an A3 on there. Our airplane is too big. It can't go down below. It's got to stay up above deck. I don't care what it's doing up there. The sea's going to be rough or whatever. We just tie it down. We just have to tie it down. Okay. There's what the pilot sees. Okay, he's coming in. He's trying to get back aboard. This is called the round down. It's white so he can see it. Try to line up one here. I'll tell you all about that. How am I doing? Oops, I backed up. Okay, well, forget it. I went over 1 2 minutes. Okay, Franklin D. Roosevelt. This is an old World War II carrier. It's probably made in 1944, 42 or 40. Let's see, the war was over probably in 42. Probably built about then. So I never saw the Second World War. And as it came out, it was a straight deck. In other words, the planes took off and landed straight on. Well, they learned that was wrong, especially with jets. Okay, so then they turned it over to the angle deck that you saw there. So that, here I got that. The angle deck. This is at an angle, maybe 30 degrees angle from the straight in. okay? I'll show you some others. And this is roughly about 300 feet. That catapult can send that airplane to 120 miles an hour in 2 seconds and about 300 feet, okay? I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. We'll talk about that. This is where the action is. This is where it's happening. Okay, there's your angle deck, okay? And the original aircraft carrier, the Roosevelt, did not have this, okay? It was refurbished to get that. This is not my ship, but this shows you how the complement of airplanes are. You know, and we just crowd them in. We can still land and shoot airplanes off right here. There's probably catapults here. We got 2 over here. This is the waist cat. And the landing arresting gear is back there. Here it is. This is the Roosevelt. It looks like it's 45,000 tons, about 968 feet long, and what is it? Carries 137 aircraft. Okay. Pat says you will never read that. So well, you are. Okay. Now this is good. This is good. The flight deck, the flat area, is where all the action happens. Okay. That's why we're there. The airplanes coming and going. Right below it is the hangar deck, and that's where maintenance is taken care of for some of the planes that will fit down there. Many of them do. Probably over 2/3 of them will fit down there, okay? So coming down from the flight deck, or thereabouts, is a ladder. Everything's a ladder, no stairs. These are all ladders, okay? Turn the corner, go down another set, and that's where I live. That's where I live. Okay, this is the fun part. This is, whoops. Okay. Ooh, did I go past that? How do I back up, Pat? How do I back up? Okay. Whoa, that's going too far. Oh, there it is. This is my boat. This is fabric tied on with an aluminum frame with rope, stacked 3 high, and this would fold up so you can get underneath and clean. I did this whenever I was in Mayport, Florida, the very first time. I said, this will never do. This will kill my back. I went down to the dumpster where they were taking pallets apart, and I got a couple of pieces of wood, 6 feet long, nailed them together, laid it on here, and then put my bed on top of that, and I was comfortable. That was good. That's the way I got around that. This next one, this is not me. This is not my ship. I got this off the internet. You can see they've actually got springs, but they're 4 high, okay? All right, this is back in the time, whenever you were a man's Navy, okay? All right, there's some more of that. Nowadays, these guys have it easy. They have bombs, they have of course, now this is where you live, okay? You live in here, they have a curtain that goes across. You got a light, you can read and stuff. Your locker is here, and you have minimal space. Absolutely. Well, you have minimal stuff, so you have minimal space. Okay. They're sissies. They need to live. Because at least I didn't have to live in a hammock. We were beyond that. Mess cooking. This is hash browns for 5,000. We've had 5,000 3 times a day. And if you had any time off, you could sunbathe on the deck. You got to be careful not to roll off. Okay. Now the next slide is to show you that I did actually get off the ship, and I took a tour out in Italy, and one of the roadside bars or roadside little cafe had a deal there where if you could hold this probably 2 gallons of wine out straight, you could drink as much as you wanted. That's me doing that. And I said, well, I'm not doing that with wines. So the lady gives me a bib so that I can drink some wine. Very cool. Okay, let's see. Now, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. I'm going to break away a little bit. I'm going to show you a video, and I'm going to point out some things that I want to explain to you. Okay, now Pat, what did we decide to do here? 65. 65. Return. Spacebar. All right. This is probably what you see in the news all the time. I want you to notice. Look how many people are up here, and I'm going to tell you why. There's a cat. I'm going to talk about that. A little bit of that. This is not my ship. Folks, my ship is probably rebar in Nebraska someplace. They scrapped both of my ships a long time ago. They got $3 billion for the Roosevelt, and they couldn't give away the Forrestal. Okay, now here, this is cool. If we get those guys off the ship, we got to get them back. Okay? They don't like to just hang around out there. So this is recovery. Some of the newer ships have a little different recovery system. It's all controlled. Whoops. No, we don't need to do that. 44? Hey, I gotta make money somehow. A little bit of money. Okay. Now, and here's the thing. A lot of people ask about the colored shirts in there, and there's something about those shirts, okay? Here is green shirts. I'm a green shirt. Green shirts have, they fix stuff, okay? They're fixers. They repair everything. I repaired the system on my airplane. I was an electronics technician. These guys here are probably replacing an arresting cable. All right, that's what that is. That's an arresting cable that stops the plane whenever it wants to come back. Okay, there's something else I want to say about that. Okay, let me move on a little bit and see if I can remember. Okay, green shirt. Obviously not my ship. Got ladies aboard. No problem. They do as good a work. She's checking the track. This is the catapult with the shovel. She's making sure it's going to go. Whenever that thing takes off, there's 100 people making sure that every single little piece is working. Okay, because when it takes off, everything's got to work. Of course, we sit around a lot too, just waiting for something to happen. And the crew here. Here's a lady, green shirt. These are not yellow shirts. These are probably life preservers. And I want to tell you about this guy over here. This is very important. And I haven't figured out how they did this. This is one of the things, very inquisitive guy I am, but this is one of the things I forgot. Is how do they know how much this thing weighs? Okay, this airplane. My plane can weigh as much as 80,000 pounds with full fuel and weapons, okay? 80,000 pounds, almost double what it actually weighs. A smaller plane could weigh as much as 36,000 pounds soaking wet. So the catamaran has got to know, not catamaran, catapult has got to know how much power to put on that. Or it's going to tear the plane apart, or it's going to get what they call a cold shot. The plane will just go off the hip. Okay? So they got to know that, and that's what he does. He knows how much that plane weighs somehow. He shows it to the pilot, and he shows it to the air boss. There's two guys up there on the deck that know what to do. They're running the show. Okay, they are the ringleaders of this show. I always say it looks like a ballet, but I have trouble thinking those guys up there in tutus. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. So let's say it's a ringleader. He's a ringleader. Okay, so those are green shirts. We got brown shirts. These guys, they're not in chains. They're not in the gray green. They own the airplane. Every airplane has a plane captain. The minute that plane hits the deck, they are out there with 4 chains to get him tied down and 2 chocks. We do not want that plane to roll off the deck. And it doesn't have a lot of space, okay? Don't forget, 4 football fields, that's all we got to work with. And most of this stuff is taken up with extra airplanes. So anyway, they run out there and they get it chained down. If there's a problem with the plane, they make sure that who needs to work on that plane gets out there and works on it, gets it fixed. And they check and make sure everything is taken care of. Very important job. Red shirts, weapons. They load the bombs. except for one bomb, and I get to load it. My rate was considered to be secret, okay? I had a secret clearance. That radar that I had, the frequencies on it was secret. And I don't even remember what they were. Anyway, since I had a secret clearance, I got to load the nuclear weapon. And we practiced that. This is what this is all about, folks. They're out there day after day after day, launching and recovering airplanes, practice, practice, practice. And they go out and they bomb something that they have found, okay? Something, and they fly against other airplanes, you know, like another country might come out and try to find this. So it's all practice, and here's why. Whenever that horn goes off and we go to general quarters and there's some unfriendlies coming in and we go to general quarters, it's real. And we have to get every plane off of that deck as quickly as we possibly can because we're very vulnerable. We're big out there, so we want to get those planes off. So all this is practice, 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 practice. This is an F-18 Super Hornet. Not my plane. My plane's a big, heavy thing. At full afterburner. I thought you'd see that. It's kind of cool. Full afterburner. Okay. Okay, here's the thing I want you to see. I may show that video again so you can see. This guy here is probably one of the most important people in the launch sequence, okay? I didn't get all the people. There's two people out there that run in the show, that ringmasters. One is called the air boss. The other one is the shooter, okay? They're the ones, and here's the thing. They're out there, first off, the pilot is listening to the tower, or we call it the island, and he's listening to other planes. There's no way to communicate with the people down below, and he cannot see his wheels. He can barely see out the front. So he's got to rely on these guys in the yellow shirts, the flight deck manager, or the air boss, and the shooter. So he's ready, okay? So here's the thing. They're using hand signals. You know, of course, this would be like turn left, more left, more left, more left. Right, stop, block your brakes down, brakes. And that's very important. If you're up there and you got to have your hands put away. You can't be scratching your butt. Somebody's going to think something's wrong. Something may be wrong, but don't do that someplace else, okay? Don't be up there doing that, okay? That'll get you in trouble. Okay, so that's a white shirt, yellow shirts. You're usually officers taking care of the air boss and the shooter. Okay, there's another thing. When I told you about the guy that had the board for the weight, that was the shooter. He made sure that the pilot knows what the weight is, that the guy down here, I think he's either over on the catwalk or in a little tower here in the middle. And he's actually dialing in the amount of steam that you're going to get, the amount of power that the catapult's going to give him, okay? So he's going to be there, and the shooter makes sure that everybody knows what they're doing, okay? Making sure that everybody's got the steam, that they're ready to go, that the pilot knows what he's doing, that everybody's ready to go, okay? It's a coordinated effort. Everybody's got to be on board here. But this guy right here, I'm going to tell you about him in a minute. More about that. That's another whole day. Okay. Okay, more bombs. We're loading more bombs. That's me. That's a very young guy. That's not a good picture. I'm in the cockpit. This is a Bombardier. You can't see it very well, but there's a computer that's sitting down in here like this. 300 pounds of computer, analog computer. He also had a radar visual that could scan the horizon, not for planes, but for targets, okay? And if it was nighttime, or if it was daytime, he had a periscope at the bottom, and he could look through a telescope, like a periscope optically. He could find his target optically, okay? So that's where he drives. Like I said, let me get here to, okay, more recovery. More recovery. Here's the hangar deck. You can see how we pack them in. Let me tell you about two different groups on an aircraft carrier. First off, you have to understand there's two communities, okay? There's the ship's company who own the ship, and we go wherever they go, okay? They're driving, and they're fixing. The ship belongs to them. We don't own the ship. We're the air group. We own the airplanes, okay? We don't like each other. Because whenever we're not there, they have to leave the road. All these are gone, and they get down there and play stickball and throw frisbees around and play basketball, have a fun time. When we're there, bombs, airplanes, we're packed. It's a mess down there. You can't walk through there without banging your head on something. So anyway, but we get along. We have to. Aircraft carrier can't be a carrier without aircraft. Okay, makes sense. Okay. And not only that, the chow lines get longer when we get there. And they don't like it. This is a holdout. And this is part of the thing. I'm going to talk to you about a little bit more about that. But just remember what this looks like. We don't use it anymore. We came out with a better one. You have to use, every time you launch, you had to use one of these. So that means in the 8 months that we were out, we probably had to have 1,000 of these. And they take a lot of room and they're heavy. Okay, so we've reinvented that. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. Where'd that come from? Sorry. How do I go back, Pat? I didn't mean to do that. That's for later. Okay, Pat, what is it? Where are we here? What's the number of the movie?
Well, the movie is 55.
55, 65.
55, return, baseball.
Okay, now I'm going to show you this. Oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to do something else here. You said never work with one. It's not going to work. That guy's very important too. He's got to be there to make sure that the arresting gear got off the plane and goes back in smoothly without a kink in it. Okay, that's what he does. Now they say you're not supposed to stand out here because there is a probability that cable could break. Now, that cable's that big. I've never heard of one ever doing that. But it's a very dangerous place. If you're up here, you better have your head in the game. Okay? There's the guy. I don't know what they call him, but he's the brake. He's got a brake. Okay. Can I stop it, Pat? Just stop it. Space bar. Okay. Oh, that's good. All right. First of all, let me go back to the airplane. You can watch this handsome dude. This is my bone right here. This is my bone and probably my locker. Okay, that's where we kept everything. Let me tell you about launching, okay? That's probably the most important thing. There's three things going on here. We turn the ship into the wind. We always do that. We can get about maybe 25 knots of wind coming over. And to people that don't understand, that's how planes fly, okay? The wing has a curve to it that the wind has to hit. So we get that extra push by having that extra 25 knots going over there. Let me preface this by saying, I'm getting a little out of sync here. The flight deck is not a place you want to be. Okay, it's not. It's not for sightseeing. Not now. Not during our flight ops. First off, it's hot. If you're down in Cuba, it's cold. If you're over in the Med in the wintertime, it can be cold. It can be wet. It can be raining. I mean, we fly all the time. We practice flying all the time. And there's spray, if it's a rough sea, there's spray, it's not, the waves aren't crashing over the deck, but the spray comes over. So it can be wet, it can be miserable. There's at least 3 airplanes turning and burning at any given time. First guy is on the cat, 2 guys waiting to go on. We try to get them out every 30 seconds if we can. That's the goal. So everybody up there, there's 100 people up there at least. When you see some of these videos, there's a lot more people because they know they're on camera. So they get up there so they can be in the video. And also there's some other times they're actually training people. So you'll see 2 people doing the same hand signals, okay? They're training somebody to do that, okay? So they're a little different whenever you see it in a video. Okay, so you got 3 things going on. You got the air coming over the deck. You've got the jets are at full military power, not afterburner, unless they're really heavy and they have to have the extra push. Full military power, okay? Max power, aircraft over the deck. That guy that I showed you, I don't know if I can find him or not. Can I just back up a bunch here? How do I back up? Okay. Yeah. Surprise, Shirley. Oh, there he is. There he is. There he is. This is the guy. Okay, that red holdback is now this. Okay, we reinvented that because it took up too much space and it took too much time. So this is reusable. You dial in the plane you're at. This is the shuttle. Okay, this is shuttle. The bar comes down and latches right into this mouth here, and this is the catapult. Okay, 300 feet of catapult. The catapult, the shooter, goes over to the guy at the catwalk where he knows what's going on, and he says, come on, he's signaling the airplane to get forward enough so that this will drop into that slot. And then this takes up the slack. He pushes a button and it takes up the slack. So it's pulling, okay, it's pulling the ship. He wants to pull the plane. The plane is going at maximum power, full military they call it, and the catapult's ready to go. When it's all ready to go, and you'll see the flight directors, and they're looking around, they're checking everybody. There's people all around that plane to make sure that their thing that they're looking for is okay, that the wing is still attached and fallen off. The ailerons work, the rudders work, everything works, okay? And they give a thumbs up. He looks around, everybody good? Everybody good? Good. Then he does this. He gives like this, wind that thing up as tight as you can. The blast gate comes up so it doesn't burn everybody aft. The blast gate comes up. He gets down, takes a knee. Everybody up there takes a knee because you'll get blown off if you're not. And whenever everything is ready to go and the steam is ready and the plane just breaks and flops down and the plane is free to go. In 3 seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, and 300 feet, he's doing 200 miles an hour, 129 miles an hour. Okay, that's good, because off he goes. Most planes make it. Sometimes you get a cold cat shot or something like that, you'll kind of like, well, is he gonna make it? And he pulls it on out. That's why he's at maximum power, is every opportunity to get going, okay? But that guy there is the guy that's making sure that's okay. All right, let's see, where am I at on this thing? I was going to play Danger Zone, but that didn't work. How many times do you think that the pilot played that when he took off? The old F4s used to have a little cassette player in the dash that they could play things. Okay, that's a total lie. I made that up. If that airplane, if it doesn't make it fly or weapons, it's not on there. It's not in there for your health, your comfort, that's for sure. You're too busy. You're too busy flying. So anyway, not only that, they've got a helmet on, and they're listening to the tower and other planes, like Red Leader 4. You know, where are you going? Where our vector is this, okay? And so he doesn't run into him. Whenever he takes off, he's got to take a different vector. Okay, so they're listening to that. That's why we use hand signals down on the deck. is because they're not listening and they can't hear anything anyway except what's in your headset. Okay, where am I at on this thing? Okay, so we get done with that and we go back home to Sanford, Florida. Can't remember what date we actually got back. I've got it written down here, but I'm lost. Back to Sanford in December of '64, back from the Med. And we were 8 months. We were 8 months at sea, okay? I got off the ship quite a bit. I think I got off the ship about a third of the time, and we were at sea a lot. There was a time whenever we were around Cyprus. We had a big issue at Cyprus during this time. Let me see where I got that. And we were on station for 20 days. For submarines, that's like nothing. I mean, those guys are under sea all the time. Where'd I put that at? Did you walk off with my number? I can't remember where the swim call is.
It's 69.
69. 69, yeah, 68, 69, 70. Okay. Well, the skipper said, that's the captain of the boat, we call him skipper. He decided that we were bored. We were bored. We were really bored. So he just stopped the boat and we jumped off. Who would do such a thing? Somebody asked me, well, how far is that? Well, the deck, the flight deck, which is up there, is 55 feet. Okay, that's 55 feet. He drops this elevator. I was going to say, now, listen, I want you to behave yourself, because I'm going to put a picture up here of 5,000 partially clad men. There it is. Okay, so he drops this elevator down, and we jump off, okay? Swim around. What about sharks, Lee? We had Marines out there in boats with rifles. We weren't really sure if they were going to shoot us or the sharks. We weren't so sure about that. We were kind of worried about that. Okay, here's another one of the deck. And what they did was they rigged netting. And this is big, heavy rope netting. And that's the way on. You had to climb that net to get back on. They weren't going to come and get you. So anyway, that was that. And I think what they did was they knew we were going to do this. But that's not what I wanted back. I got that figured out, Pat. They made this thing with floats. Well, it did not float, and if it had floated, it would flipped over upside down. So it's actually being hung from a crane that we have on there. Well, everybody wanted to get on this thing and get on the top. I'm down here, I said, forget that. So I went back on the ship, and then later we had a barbecue, hamburgers and stuff up on the top deck, just to break the monotony. Those poor guys that are over there today, they're not getting a break. I don't know if in the, I think they're in the Gulf of Oman. I don't think there's any friendly ports that they can go into. And you got to remember, how am I doing on time here? Is it like Sunday already? The thing about a city, an aircraft carrier can't go into a city that's little. It's got to go into a pretty good size because we have what they call port and starboard liberty. Liberty is where we get off the ship. Half the ship goes off one time, we come back on, we have to be back by midnight. You go to bed, Jack, Mom's got to watch. And then the next day, the other half gets to go. Well, that means 2,500 sailors, crazy people, sailors, get out there and invade their city. So it's got to be big enough, and they have to have a police department big enough to take care of that. or let's say churches. I meant churches, because we all go to church. So anyway, so it's got to be a big enough city. Some of the guys in carrier escorts and subs and stuff like that, they can go into some really nice, neat, small cities, like up in Scandinavia and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. We never got to do that. We had to go. So I've been to 8 countries: Malta, Mallorca. I don't know if they're really countries. One was a Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, Malta, I think. Mallorca, I think, might be independent. Italy, Sicily, Spain. My second cruise, I got to go to Beirut, Lebanon, the garden spot of the Med. Everybody came there. There was a United States, a USA college there, university, everybody went there, everybody got along, and then they blew it all up. So it's a mess now. So we're not friendly there anymore. So anyway, I don't know what those guys are doing over there now today, but they're not getting a lot of liberty, okay? They're not getting off the ship very often. Did I miss anything? Okay, so I come back. So here, this is the picture I wanted to show. I came back in December, okay, and in March, a big deal happened. I got married. Can I find that? Oh shoot, I got out of sequence here. Help, Pat. I'm stuck. Okay, so I got married, and we're down I took my bride down to Sanford, Florida. I can't believe she lived in some of those places we had to live, but we did. We were married about 6 months, and guess what? Off I go again. Out to another ship. This was the Forrestal, the James Forrestal, CB 859. Okay. Oh, those two great-looking kids. Thanks, Pat. Okay, so we're having a great time in Florida. I mean, that's a great place to be newly married. We went every place. We camped and with some friends and did some stuff. It was great. The Navy was pretty good at that time. But off I go again to the Forrestal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to back all these slides up and we're going to go through it all again. And I'll tell you right now, the exact same thing. We went to the same ports, the same countries, the same bars. And sometimes the barman was, you're back. I see you're back. It's been 8 months. So I go off again for another 8 months, and I get back, and I think we were back in Florida again. Shirley met me at the ship in Norfolk, Virginia. Took a 30 days leave. We saw some stuff on the way home. And anyway, so I got out. Okay, I think we lived down there. I can't remember. Maybe another 6 months or 8 months, and then I got out in '66. Okay, and really, but first off, a lot of you guys, you can see the hardships that I had living on a ship for 8 months and all that. But I'm going to tell you right now, I feel you because I know that some of my worst days was probably your best days. And I know you, I feel you, I see you, okay? I understand that. I tried to make it look like that it was a lot of work, but you guys did not have that much fun. And to me, it was great. The food was good. They clothed me, told me where to be at any given time, so it was good. But I didn't see my wife and I being gone every 8 months or thereabout. Maybe every year I'd have to take another cruise. Because I was an aircraft mechanic that had to be on an aircraft carrier. So anyway, I didn't see that would be me. So we decided to get out and pursue another career, which I did. Where was I going with that? Anyway, can we play the
71.
71. If it wasn't for Pat, I would be lost.
Space bar, what? Put the mic to it.
Okay.
Put the mic to the computer.
Yeah. I'll just sing. No, I would please don't. Anyway, the Navy, for me, it was wonderful. I think Dwight D. Eisenhower had it right way back in the 70s or 80s. He said that every high school graduate should give at least 2 years service to the country, to our country. And it can be anything. If you're a conscientious objector, you can do anything you want. But if you go into the military, they'll train you. And sure enough, I got electronic training. I went on and got a GI Bill. So it's been good to me. And the VA, if you're not in the VA, do it. just because if something bad happens, you've got that extra support. And they help me. There's one right here in Lenexa. Great people. I have no problem with anything the VA has done. Folks, I don't know if I screwed it up or what, but anyway, check out all the stuff that I brought, all the things. If you got any questions or anything, let me know. Give me a holler. You know?
Anybody have a question of us? Please. I think he covered it all. Our next speaker is Darrell Gray, who went 39 years in the service, from private in the National Guard to retired full colonel in military intelligence. So come back in May. Thanks, guys. Welcome
Somebody told me that there was a Roosevelt sailor here, Franklin D. Roosevelt sailor. Did you come to the thing? Are you? So did I tell you a lie about it?
Yeah. I know all about it.
So when were you in?
65 to 69.
Oh, wow.
Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Yeah, Franklin D. Roosevelt. What'd you do?
Guided missiles.
Red shirt. Well, you know, that's right. They probably got some extra armament. Back whenever I was in, they had like a 6-inch gun and hardly anything. Nowadays, they've got a 8-inch gun that'll put enough lead out there, nobody can fly through it. I mean, they're pretty well armed nowadays. That's pretty good. Well, good. Welcome.
There's another guy, his first name is Al. I don't know what, it's not Al. And I met him walking around. He was on the board too. I told him about it, but he didn't come. There's another one. Is that you, Al?
Same guy.
Say
That's all
Dave?
Yeah, I just wanted to let him know that he had a pretty big cakewalk compared to the destroyer I was on.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Whole nother
I
name.
know what you mean.
You remember you guys.
Yes.
I was 20. What did I know?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.